Hey everybody, Kim here, Little Biz Resources, and we are finally ready with our GIMP and Power Automate desktop automation for file sizes. Okay, now this is part of the Little Biz Resources Print on Demand series, and that is linked in the description. So some quick info. First of all, there are chapter links in the description. It's timestamps, chapter links. This means you can jump to any section of the video if you need to review a section, which more than likely you will have to do later. Right, just click the timestamp for that section, and if you're on the website watching this, you need to go to the actual YouTube page to use those timestamps. Now here's what's included, and of course there's a lot of details with each of these. We're going to do a walk through the automation so you can see what you're creating. Then we're going to show you how to copy and paste the information into Power Automate Desktop, along with the other copy and paste elements. And then we're going to look at what you need to adjust and check to fine-tune your specific elements. Okay, and then we're going to talk about prep work. So I think this one's going to be a little bit more organized than the Photoshop, or for the, Photoshop version. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's do a quick disclaimer. I am not an expert at Power Automate Desktop, and I do want to say thank you to the channel Desktop Data Crunching for videos that help me figure this out, because the other version I had was super long and it would have taken a ton of work on your part. So thanks to his videos, I was able to narrow this down to a much simpler process. Now, I would call myself a dabbler at best with Power Automate Desktop. And as a note, I have 2 monitors. So the automation that I've set up is based on what works for my computer. So there might be a few elements that can change, right? Because there's more than likely multiple ways to do something. So I might have a step that takes longer than a different way because I'm not an expert. If you are an expert and you're just watching this for inspiration, set it up your own way, right? I set up these methods and this whole entire system to make it easy for people that do not use Power Automate Desktop or GIMP regularly, but still want to automate the design creation. Okay, and going through this, we're going to walk through everything step by step. So Power Automate Desktop, that is free from Microsoft. How it helps us create 84 files for Printful. Now this is just for Printful without us being at the computer. Okay, now I say that the first time you run through, you may want to sit there and watch and make sure it works okay, because I didn't do that the first time and I came back and there was a lot of mess on my computer. So once you set up the instructions in Power Automate Desktop and you do a few other things, little prep work, and then you tell it to just go or play, it's going to create 84 files for you the way we have it set up, and it'll be 76 products from Printful. We are going to look at marketplaces very, very soon. It's just they're a little bit harder to find all of the dimensions for, so we're still working on those. Now these different files, you're like, wait, Kim, why do you need 84 files for 76 products? Now, they're necessary for the way that Printful prints the products. Okay, so what happens, let's say that you have men's leggings, women's leggings, youth leggings, and kids leggings. Well, they're all leggings. But because they're different sizes, Printful's system requires different file sizes. And if you just load up one and stretch it or shrink it or whatever, then if you have one person wearing, let's say a men's leggings and a woman's leggings, and they're standing next to each other, they're going to have different size of that repeat, right? And so really, if you want that consistency, if you want it to print right, and you want, because if you're using 150 DPI, that's the lowest DPI. So we want it to be consistent. So this is why we need to have specific file sizes. But the good news is that we are going to be able to automate the whole thing. And then we're going to have the file sizes. So we'll have them all in Excel, and I'll show you this in just a minute. Then we're going to be able to take those files and load them up into Printful. Now, if you don't have repeating patterns yet, we do have a video that teaches you how to make them, or you can click the link in the description to check out my designer if you're just like, hey, I really don't want to deal with that. So let's real quick talk about the difference between Photoshop and GIMP. Now, I mentioned in the Photoshop video that you might want to use GIMP, and the reason why is because for Photoshop, you need to have files. So we would have Photoshop files, and we actually do have those, so that you have the specific sizes. And as a side note, don't use the templates from Printful in your automation, by the way. But what you need to do is you'd have to have those template files, and then we fill in the files, right? So that's what we would do, is we create the Photoshop files from the size list, which we've done. And then and there's the link on the page in the description, by the way. or you can download the files from me if you're doing the Photoshop version. Now on GIMP here, we create the file, just the final file. So we use the repeating pattern and then we create the files. Okay. So there is no template file. So this makes it less heavy, but to do this, it takes different instructions in Power Automate Desktop. And before, when the last time when I did the Photoshop one, it was going to be a lot longer instructions, but now we've changed it. So it's still the same length as I had planned. Well, I say that it's 84 times less than what I had planned, but we're going to be using Excel to make this and we have to integrate that. So that's all really easy to do. I promise the steps here are very easy. So let's go ahead and see how it works in GIMP. So here is a repeating pattern that I've opened up in GIMP. Now we'll talk about sizing and everything when we get there, but let's just assume this is what I want. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit run on Power Automate Desktop, and then I'm going to come talk to you. Okay. So let me hit run. And what it's going to be doing is that it's going to be basically creating a repeating file. So the final file we need for our product. It's opening up Excel sheet and pulling information from it. And then it's going to come over here into GIMP and it's going to change the size to inches. And it's going to put the width in. The width and the height come from the Excel sheet. Okay, and that Excel sheet we are creating from the file sizes from Printful, which I've already done a whole list of them. So you can either create your own file or you can download mine, and you know, it's up to you. Now we'll talk, if you don't have Excel, we'll talk about that when we get to that point on options. So now it's created the repeating file that we need for a specific design. It's named it. And now it's exporting it as a PNG, which we need to be able to load up into Printful. Now, for those who are familiar with Printful, for direct to garment, you don't have to have a PNG if you have like a color background. But for repeating or for the all over ones, they do recommend it. So that's why we're keeping it as a PNG in this case. So now the way we've set this up is that it's pulling from an Excel sheet. So even though we're using this for Printful, we can change that Excel sheet to have whatever numbers in it we want. So we can use it for marketplaces, we can use it for, you know, other types of designs, which we'll talk about another time. But this is going to be the setup for GIMP is going to be pretty easy and simple to use. But the key is that we have that Excel sheet and we're using the Power Automate Desktop. And because we used Excel because it's a Microsoft product and it integrates, right? So that was the first file. Now it's going to create the second file, which we want to do at least 2 files as a test to make sure that it's fully working. Right now, just so you know, I am not touching anything because if I do, I will screw it up. And I'm just recording because it's on. And of course I had to go in and tweak this a lot because when I'm recording at the same time, it really bogs down my computer and it makes it an interesting little experiment here, right? So here would be another size. Now the sizes I have here that I'm testing right now are not real sizes. And if you were paying attention when it does that, it says live test and then it has the size on it. That's just so that I can go back in and delete these, right? You can even see there before it says new test from the ones that I had done right before it just to make sure it was working. So now it's exporting the file, and sometimes that can take a while. My computer, again, bogged down because of recording, but my computer's slow anyway. So you may need to do some tweaking in this, but we're going to walk you through step by step how to tweak all of it, okay? And so you'll have one-time preparation stuff, and you'll have something that you need to do every time you open GIMP, and there's one step you have to do with every single pattern. So these are very, very simple. You can literally just follow a checklist and you can copy and paste the information, and we're going to walk you through all of it. And I'm just I can't stop anything because I'll mess everything up. So I'm just kind of jabbering away as we go. But what's exciting about this is that you get to do it without being in front of your computer. All right, it is done. So let's hop back over to here, maybe. There we go. All right, so we did the walkthrough. Now let's just talk about real quick how this is working. And this is a little bit different than Photoshop, so I want you to make sure you understand this. So Excel right here, it's holding the file sizes. So we're entering the file sizes in the Excel sheet. Then we're using the repeating file in GIMP, right? And Power Automate is taking those and it's creating the file sizes using GIMP. Then once we have those file sizes, we can load them up into Printful, and then we can push them out to our marketplaces. Whether that's Etsy, your own store, you know, on Shopify, whatever it is. Now this is going to repeat once we're ready. It's going to repeat for all 84 files. So again, that's, what did I say? 76 designs or something like that. 76 products. So I actually only showed 2 files, not 3 files, but we would keep going for all 84 files. And that's if you're doing Printful or how many ever you want, right? Because this literally can work for anything that you want to fill in a repeating file for. Now, I originally had this at 1.15 minutes. Those took a little bit longer because I'm doing the recording at the same time, but that's about how long, a minute, maybe a minute and a half. So think about that, 84 minutes plus, right? So just plan on that for your timing. And that's good news, because I like to think about it like this, like, hey, if my computer is making those files for me, I'm still working, right? I don't need to be in front of my computer once I get it fine-tuned and figured out, but if I'm like, hey, maybe I'll go exercise, I'll go do dishes, go make dinner, whatever it is, I can go do something else and be working at the same time. That's not very common, right? That's not something you can usually do. So that's a great, I don't know, potential there for automation. I really love it. Now, before we start the automation, we need to make sure we prep both Power Automate Desktop and GIMP, and we have the file for sizes. So we're going to walk through all of these step by step. And then, of course, if you haven't visited our website, we literally have step-by-step sheets. We have everything that you possibly need. If we don't have it there yet, it will be coming. We'll have checklists, etc. So everything you possibly need will be on there so that you can copy and paste and get this done and walk through everything. Now, the core elements of the instructions, okay? Sizes are an Excel file retrieved by Power Automate Desktop. That's PAD, that's short for that. If you don't have Excel, there's a link in the description for a discounted office, or you can leave a comment on the video, and I'll do another video showing you how you can adapt it. I don't recommend adapting it only because it's a lot more work in Power Automate Desktop. It's literally worth the $20-25 to get an older version of Office and just have it, right? It'll still work just fine. I'm using 2013, so it'll work if you use an older version. And if you have whatever the newer versions are, it should work fine with that because it can integrate through Power Automate Desktop. Now we open the repeating image in GIMP. We create each new file with our repeating design. This makes each product have the same repeat size. And I mentioned this before, we're not going to be stretching or, minimizing the quality of it. We're just going to make the file the size it's needed for all the 76 products. Then the files are exported as a PNG and saved. Power Automate Desktop repeats this for each of the file sizes. So it's very, very simple. Once you have it set up, it's just rinse and repeat. You just make those repeating files and you load them up when you're ready to do it, right? Now, even though you can copy and paste the Power Automate Desktop instructions, which you are going to do because that speeds up the entire process, there are some things you need to change in specific spots so it matches your information. So let's talk about the one-time changes. Okay, these are one-time changes. You only need to do these changes one time. So this is for me, so I can timestamp this. So from here till the next section is going to be, we're going to have each step. Step 1, Excel. You need to download or create an Excel file. Do not change anything in the file. You can change the name if you want to, but there's a reason why I haven't named that. If you download the file from me, which there'll be a link to a folder that's on Google Drive, and you can just select it from there, right? It's the Excel file in there, and it'll be named, GIMP, Power Automate Desktop, something like that. So you'll see, and I'll have the link in the file name on the website. So you need to save it to a location you can find and access. Okay. We're going to need to know the file location when we adjust Power Automate Desktop. So you need to remember where it is. If not, you'll have to search for it. So at least remember the name of it. We only need 2 or 3 file sizes to start with. So if you download the file from me, you'll just need to copy the information, store it somewhere else, and then put it back in there. Or you can just download it and then delete everything but the first couple of ones and then copy it from the Google Sheets instead and paste it back in there, right? And this will make a little bit more sense in just a minute. So if you create your own file, you just need to copy and paste the data, which we'll have in Google Sheets, and then put the first few files, and then we're going to add the rest later because we're just going to do testing. So we only need like 2, maybe 3 if you really want to. Do not, this is important, do not change the labels at the top of the file. Okay, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute. But I want to remind you that you can use this Excel file for anything you want to repeat. But for this automation, right, if you want to use this specific automation, we change everything to inches. So if you're like, there's a couple of the marketplaces, I don't know if it's Cafe Press or Zazzle, I can't remember which one, they do pixels. You wouldn't want to use this automation for that, right? So we're going to do a separate automation for those. So let's look at the Excel file. Yes, it should be underwhelming. This is not overly complicated. This is literally a data point. Now, the data I have in here right at this moment is specifically just random data, right? So where we're actually going to pull this from is we're going to pull this from the Google Drive. And if you're on the website, there's a link. If you're on the YouTube video, go to the website, the web page that's linked, and you will be able to look at the sizes. So this is, you will not have highlighted like this, but this is what the file will look like. It has these sizes here. All of these sizes that say 11 by 11 will be put out, well, all of them will be width, height, and then name. So like 11 by 11 would look like this. Right? And that's because we need an 11 inch by 11 inch. Now this one happens to be an even number, but most of them are not. So like there's an 11 by 13. So it would look like this, right? And so we would just have those, I'm going to have those all listed out. It will be, you can either download the Excel sheet that I've created, or you can go to the Google Sheets and copy it'll have this exact thing. Do not, right here, width, height, name, do not change those. Those are inside the instructions of Power Automate Desktop. So if you change those, it won't work. So you need to keep those. Now, if you want to change the file name itself, that's fine. That doesn't matter because that's not part of the instructions. In fact, we will, whatever you make this, that's what we'll search for and find. And I'll show you how to do that. But for this, I wanted you to see, so I'm only going to leave 2 in here for now. And these are not real sizes, but that's fine. Just, you can have anything in here. So if you wanted to just start yours off and have just some dimensions in here to give it a test, you could do that. And then come back in here and change it to the right ones after your test is done. That's fine. So that is the Excel sheet. Very, 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 very simple. I know. You're like, Kim, this is so simple. How? Well, that's what I'm trying to do. Make it simple for you. So the next one, step 2, we're going to copy, paste, and adjust the Power Automate Desktop code. So how to copy and paste into Power Automate Desktop. Of course, you should have already had Power Automate Desktop downloaded, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I've placed the code in a text document. Okay, it's in a text document in my drive. I'm going to pull that up for you real quick. So this is what it currently looks like right now. So you'll see this one says GIMP PAD instructions for repeating files inches. Right now that's, you don't have, the name doesn't really matter, but you'll download this file. Okay, you're going to download this file and I'm going to show it to you real quick. So I don't know if you can copy and paste straight out of here. You can try it, but if you do and it doesn't work, that's because you need to download the file then. So you would just download the file, and it's a text document. So it should open up in a text, whatever text program you have. Mine is this one right here. It's Notepad. So I would open that up in Notepad. Nope, it's opening up in Excel. I do not want to open it in Excel. So anyway, we'll have it in Notepad. And then you would just copy it. So let me go ahead and show you. This is what it looks like in Notepad. So you can see it looks kind of weird. So you just copy this whole thing out of Notepad or whatever text document it is. And then you would come into Power Automate Desktop. There's so much stuff open. So let's bring this over. So this is Power Automate Desktop. We're going to say new flow. You probably won't have any flows if you're brand new to this. And you can name it whatever you want, but we're going to do test. I'm going to say test live GIMP, just so I know I can delete it later. So I'm going to create it, and it's going to open up the actual flow page here. Okay, so and I just full screened it. You don't have to have it full screen. I'm just doing that so it won't be so distracting. Make sure you click into the middle, because right here it defaults over here, and then it's weird. And then just right click and say paste, or you can Control V. Wait a second. Now you'll get an error. Okay, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. So let's go ahead and keep going here. That's how simple it is to copy and paste, by the way, right? Super easy. So again, if you haven't downloaded Power Automate Desktop, you should have already done that. So let me just real quick say download. You can download it for Windows 10. Just search Power Automate Desktop. It's a Microsoft product. It's free for Windows 10 users. If you have Windows 11 already, congratulations, because my computer probably will never be able to update to Windows 11, and I'm not eager to get a new one yet. Yes, I'd love to have one, but I mean, come on, there's just so much work to do. So Windows 11 is supposed to have it already installed. So all you need to do is do a search. I don't have that, so I can't verify that. If you have problems, leave me a note in the comments. Ooh, I just did something. What did I do? Sure, I just messed up the whole automation over there. Okay, so step 3, Power Automate Desktop, and I put these in this right here. So if it says PAD, that means you do that in Power Automate Desktop. If it says GIMP, you do it in GIMP. If it says Excel, you do it in Excel, right? So that way you know which steps go to what, and it makes it really easy. We're going to create the input variable. So when you saw that there was an error down here, let me go ahead and show you again this error right here. And that's because the variable doesn't exist yet. I can't export it. You're just going to have to create it. It is very, very easy. Okay. And it also makes it, and the reason why I inputted this is so that it makes it easy to change the design name, and you just create the input variable one time and we can always change the design name inside that. Okay. So we set it up one time, and then later on will be part of our prep instructions. But for now, we're just doing the one-time setup. So when you paste the code in it, you saw the error, and then let's create the input variable, okay? So let's do that right now. So right here, input output variables, you hit this plus and you say input, and you'll see that it says input. Now we're going to change this variable name. This needs to be exact on the variable name, and that's because it's in our automation. So we're going to put design name. Oops, not like that. Design name. Exact, right? Then I'm going to copy this. I'm going to make it the external name as well. I don't know that the external name matters, but let's just do that so it's there. Leave text. This is where you change your pattern name, okay? So let's say that I'm working on Rainbow Galaxy Hearts. Now, I'm actually going to leave it as Rainbow Hearts because I want to keep it shorter, right? I want my names to be shorter for my patterns, because if I make them too long, then when I load them up into Printful, they are too long and I can't find them. So now I'm going to go ahead and copy this over just so that you can type whatever you want here to remind yourself of what to do, but it's changed the default value to the design name, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put this like that. So if I'm like, hey, I can't remember what to change in here, that's probably the hardest part to remember, right? So I'm telling myself that so I remember, oh yeah, default value is what I change. So I'm going to say create, because Rainbow Hearts is what I'm working with. So every time I come in later when we talk about our prep, that's what we're going to be changing our design name. Okay. So let's go on to the next section. Open GIMP. If you haven't opened GIMP, which you probably haven't yet, open it and make it full screen. Okay. For the next steps, we need to pull location data from GIMP. So make sure that it's full screen and that Power Automate Desktop is not. And that's especially if you only have one screen. If you have two screens, I would just put Power Automate Desktop on one screen and then have GIMP on the other. That's what I do. Now, as a reminder for those who are newer to this, Power Automate Desktop will take over your entire computer. My daughter thinks it's hilarious. She was watching it earlier and she goes, Mommy, how is everything moving and working without you touching the keyboard? She's so cute. And she was just, it was magic to her, right? It is magic. But you cannot do anything else or have anything else running besides GIMP and Power Automate Desktop. Okay? It's important because if you have something else pop up, if you have your emails open and all of a sudden a notification comes up, it could mess up the automation. So you want to make sure that everything else is closed. Right? And I typically wouldn't run this like I have some scan that goes on at night. I wouldn't typically run this at the same time as the scan, mostly because the notification pops up. So let me show you how to have them on one screen. So this is GIMP completely open full screen. See right here, if you've never done full screen right here, this is not full screen, right? So if it's not filling up the whole screen, or if this is a full box like that, it's not full screen. Maximize it so it's full screen, and that's because we're going to set some parameters here, some clicks on our computer, and if it's not full screen, it's too variable. So we want to make sure that it's full screen. And if you have one screen and you're doing Power Automate Desktop, let me show you. This is if you just want to use the front end. Once it's fine-tuned, you can just come in here and hit the play button. But because we're still working on it, we need to keep it we need to keep the other screen open, right? So this would be, you could even make this smaller if you wanted to. You can minimize that one since we're working on this one. Oh, how do I do that? There we go. So you can make this smaller if you need to, right? Now, the first and most important one that we're going to be doing is going to be up here in this. So let's go ahead and click. Let's check our to-do list real quick. So that's how you have them both on screen. Okay, so that's not really a step. That's just a prep for it. So the first thing we're going to do before we start going through Power Automate Desktop and fixing that is we're going to actually set the shortcut key in GIMP. So this is step 4, and it's inside GIMP. Again, I tried to make this so it was easy to do. So let's go into GIMP, and this is how you want to set the shortcut key. So for in the automation, let's just go over this really quickly. Oh, put that back full screen. All right, so we're going to use a shortcut key to complete the tile instructions inside GIMP. And more than likely, you do not have any shortcut keys set, with the exception of a few standard ones, like, you know, open and close and export, stuff like that. So the shortcut key in the Power Automate Desktop instructions is Ctrl and F9. Okay, so Ctrl F9, and that's the function keys. So let's see how to set the shortcut key in GIMP. All right. You go to Edit, you come down to Keyboard Shortcuts. Now, let me show you real quick. So you see File, see how Control and N, Control O. So if you hold Control and N, it would create a new file, right? Well, we don't want a new file. We want a tiled one. So we're going to actually open our patterns and then tile it. But in order to do that with the automation, I needed to create a shortcut key. So most of your shortcut keys are not created. So you come to Edit, go down to Keyboard Shortcuts, and then from here, it's a nightmare to find. So you just type in tile. Now for me, and I'm going to tell you now, you should be able to do like tile seamless or whatever. It didn't work for me. I don't know why. The only one that works for me is this under plugins that says tile, right? And then so I'm going to click on this one just so you can see. So when you click on it, it says new accelerator. So when you come here, it's already set, right? This one's already set. So let's just delete that out. And now it's not there, right? So it says disabled. So you click on disabled, and while it's highlighted, you hold the Control, you push down Control F9 and let go. Okay, so just hold that while your control is down, you hit the F9, and then you can say close. Now what I would do is I would double check that it did that. Keyboard Shortcuts, I'm going to type in tile and Control and F9. Now if you don't have this one, you may have to test and see which one it is. See, this one says tile. It's a filter. These are filters. I think they come in after this stuff. And so anyway, this is the one that worked for me. You may have to play with it and test it, which we'll do before we hit the automation. But mine is set right now to Control and F9. All right, so that's how you set the keyboard shortcut, okay? So that is the first thing that we do. Now, let's go back to the instructions here. And we are now done with the shortcut key. So let's move forward to step 5. And this is in Power Automate Desktop. We're going to set the Excel file location. Now, your file location, which we talked about, you created your Excel file. So your file location and your name, possibly, is probably not the same as mine, unless your name is Kim and you have it set to your desktop. Then maybe the file location is the same, now, but probably not. So there are 2 ways to find the folder location. Remember, I told you to remember where the file is, right? So let's remember where the file is. So we're going to navigate to the folder and the file, or we're going to copy the file location, not the folder location, but the file location. So let's look at the 2 ways on how to do that. So let's go into Power Automate Desktop, the correct one though. And right here, that's line 1. Okay, this is line 1 that we're working on. And let's edit it. Let's go into here and say edit. So you can right click and say edit. You can double click on it. So what we're doing is we're launching Excel and opening a document. Now you can see that mine is in the C drive, users, Kim, desktop. And I put it on the desktop so it was easy to find. If yours is in the desktop, it's going to be really easy to find as well. So you can click here and say select file and then navigate to where it is, right? So you can say, okay, if it's on the desktop, and then repeating file sizes, interest, that's what I have it named, right? The alternative way is to go into your folders and you go to the same thing, right? So you go to desktop and then you find this file right here and you say shift right click and you say, where is it? Copy as path. Okay, then you can come back in here, and where it has this, you would paste it and remove the quotation marks. Okay, since it works without quotation marks, let's just remove those. And then we say save. So it's exact same location, whether you navigate to it or you copy and paste it from the file location. That's just how you do that. So that's how you change line 1. So now you know where it's pulling from that Excel file that you created, right? So we created the Excel file earlier. Now we're setting the location here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just save this for now so I don't mess it up. And then let's go back over to here. All right, that's it. We're done with that step. Next step, in Power Automate Desktop again, we're going to change line 6. Now we've already done this so that Power Automate Desktop is smaller than GIMP, right? So this first click in line 6 is to make GIMP the active window for the automation. And it's really, really easy to change the click. I don't want you to think this is hard. This is super easy. We are clicking the title at the top of the GIMP screen. Okay, so let's see how to set the click. And we're going to be setting 4 clicks because UIs, user interface elements, will not work for most of these. In fact, out of 4 clicks, it'll only work for one of them if you have the ability to do UI. I don't, because I have 2 screens. So we're just going to do it for all 4. Okay, so let me go ahead and minimize this so we can see it. So we've got GIMP up here, and that's where we're going to be clicking on this title for this one, right? So this is going to be line, let's double check that, line 6, which is right here. So send mouse click, right? So again, we'll double click into it, or you can right click, or you can go to the 3 dots, and it already has the left click sent. So the only thing we need to do is tell it the XY coordinates. Now, mine is, oh, I gotta minimize this so it doesn't do it here. I want to do it for GIMP. Remember, you're not going to have PowerPoint open. You're not going to have a recording software open. None of that stuff's going to be open, so that won't be difficult for you. So for me, I have this set to instant down here, which of course, if you copied and pasted in, it'll be the same for you. So it'll just instantly go there. And all we're trying to do is get these XY coordinates. Now, whether you click here or you here, as you can see that it's the X and the Y is moving as I move around the screen. Right? And that's important because if you click over here, it may not work. So I recommend the title up here because you won't be clicking on anything. You'll just be activating that screen. Okay, so we're going to find, and then it says press Ctrl and Shift to grab current cursor position. So this is where it's going to click. I'm going to put it there. And even though it's not the exact 2622 by 14, that's fine, right? As long as it's up here. So whatever mine is will not work for you. You have to change this. So we're going to do Ctrl and Shift, and I didn't have to push anything else. It just grabbed it from where it was, right? And so now I'm going to go ahead and do it again, and then I'm not going to move the mouse because I'm going to do Control Shift, and then I'm going to click the mouse afterwards and see how that went over and activated that. That's my double checking, right? So now I know that it's set correctly, and I can go back into it, assuming I can ever find it, and then I can say save, right? So it's set to here, and I'm going to say save. Okay, so now it's set that now you're done with that step. Okay, not hard at all, right? So let's go ahead and go back into this, and actually I'm going to leave it like this just right now because we have some more clicks to do, and I want to show it to you all on one screen. All right, so step 7. For this step, we're going to talk about what we're going to do. I'm going to show it to you, and then we'll recap it, okay? Because it's a little bit more information. It's not hard to do. It's just a little bit more information, okay? So this click is going to change the size from pixels to inches, if you remember that from our overview of automation. If you don't, that's okay. I'm going to walk through it. The automation immediately after the click is going to use arrows and select the inch selection, or the sign right there, right? Now we're going to unlink the link if it's closed, and we need to pay attention to this because you'll have to do it as part of the prep instructions, so I want you to know where it is, but we'll talk about it again when we get to those prep instructions. If your GIMP, for whatever reason, doesn't match my GIMP, you need to let me know in the comments and tell me what yours says, or better yet, paste a screenshot in the Little Biz Resources Facebook group, links in the description, and I can then figure out what's going on, because I know that some people's will differ, right? And so if for whatever reason your inch is not in the second spot, we're probably going to have to change your automation. But we'll have to do that on a case-by-case basis. So let me show you where this click comes from, and we need to do that by opening and repeating file at this point, okay? So then we're going to go through the steps. So let's go over here, and I already opened up the file again, right? You just open the file like normal. Just go File, open, navigate to wherever it is. I just happen to have it selected here. So we've opened the file, okay? And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and test our shortcut key since we've done that, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Remember, it's Control F9, right? Control F9. Now, just for here, you can, let me go over what we just talked about, okay? This is the width, the height. This is the pixels. We need to change this to inches. So that's what we need to do. We need to change it to inches. If yours looks like this, which it probably does when it first opens, click it so that it has a broken link, okay? A broken link, all right? Now, you don't need to click anywhere else. The click that we're going to be getting is going to be right here. We want to see, we push that. Now, we're going to do the same thing that we did in the last one, but for this, let's pull up Power Automate Desktop. Again, this is a lot easier to do with two screens, but we're going to go ahead and do it with one screen. So that is going to be, let's just double check our line. Line 11, again, this might change, so just double check the page and make sure. So we're going to go to line 11, so 8, 9, 10, 11. You'll see where it says send mouse click, right? So that will be the next mouse click. So here's the first one. 11 right now is the second one. And again, I don't think this is going to change, but just in case. Double clicked, it came in here. Now we need to get this X, Y click, okay? Now I have it say relative to screen, but you can make it to the active window or whatever. I'm just going to leave it because it works for me. So I'm going to, first of all, the difference is this. If this isn't active, which we already made it active earlier by clicking on it, right? And we're not going to touch anything on our computer because it's going to be doing its own stuff. But if something pulls it out of there and it has it relative to screen, it's going to be whatever's here, it would click, right? So you see how if I say right here, it'll click. That's where it's going to click. Well, we want it to click in a specific spot on the screen while it's active with that folder, with that thing. Now you can say active window instead, and you see how it changes the numbers. And so we're going to go here, and remember we need to do Control and Shift. Okay, so I'm going to come here, and I lost it somehow. This is the part we need, is this tile. This will always open up in the same spot. If it doesn't, then there's something wrong with your settings. So I don't mess with my settings. I don't play with anything. This is the way it always shows up, okay? So this is the part we need. And remember, we need to do, let's go back here so you remember. We're going to do Control and Shift to grab the current cursor position. So let's go back here, keep closing that, and we're going to go here, and I'm going to say, and to double check, I'm going to click it afterwards, but I'm going to do Control Shift, and then I'm going to click it. And now I know it selects the inches. So let's make sure that it changed, and it did, right? So it set that to the active window. So I'm going to say save, and that's it, right? I've set that one now. Now, of course, when we test this, we'll double check it, but it should work fine. And if it doesn't, you just need to repeat it, and again, until you get to that point. If you have problems, just hop into the Facebook group or leave a comment, and we can do it live as well on Thursdays. Okay, so now you can see here where I said in the automation, it goes down, down, hits return, right? This is why it's important that yours is so pixels is here. It's going to go down, down, right? So it's going to go to inches, down, down. If your inches is not here, hop into the Facebook group ideally. And if not, then just at least leave a comment and let me know. And then maybe come live on Thursdays, or if you can link me to some sort of screenshot somewhere so I can see it, then I can help figure out how to change that for you. But hopefully it'll be in the same spot. Okay. So that will select inches. So that's what we've done, is we've set this click. Okay. So now let's go back into here. We're going to close this. And it says, blah, blah, blah. And then it'll go through down, down, return. So this is actually a different click. So we set line 11. So now look, we do need to set line 15. So that's actually going to be our step 8. You guys, these are really easy steps, right? So step 8, change line 15. Again, check the website for finalized things, but again, this shouldn't change too much. So line 15 is to set the cursor in the first size option. Okay. Now again, this is because the UI it doesn't connect with the UI, so we have to tell it to click to find the information that we want. It's because it's not built in. We're doing something beyond what most people would do with this. It's just the way it is. So the part after that, we'll clear out the number and type in the width from the Excel sheet, right? So we don't have to worry about all of those little details. All we need to do is make sure we set the clicks in the right places. We're just placing the cursor with this click, but we need to tell Power Automate Desktop where that is. Okay, so let's go back here. And we said we're going to set the size. So we closed that. So let me go ahead and go back into it. Control F9. And we've already done this, right? We've already set that click. Now we're setting this click right here, right? So I'm actually going to do this so that it's out. It doesn't really matter, but let's set the click. So we're going to go into line 15, double click, and then again, we need to do, I have it set to active window, so we're going to do Control and Shift to grab that spot, okay? So I'm going to go over to it, and actually, see how I just tabbed over to it? That's even better because it's the same spot, it's just above so I can see it better. So I'm going to come here, and it says Control and Shift, so that's the spot. Now I click on it to make sure, and that's where it is. That's fine. Okay, the rest of the automation is going to do Control A, which will highlight the whole thing and it'll delete it, etc. So we're going to come back into here. We're going to save this because we've got our clicks set, and then that's it. We're done with that step. See? Really easy. Okay. Next one, another click. Okay. We had to use more clicks than automation in this because there's just some things I couldn't figure out how to do in GIMP. So again, this is in Power Automate Desktop. We're going to change line 32. Again, check the website for any changes. So this click is to click OK for the size of the file. So we'll go back to this exact, see how it says OK right here? That's because, again, there's no automation to select this. There's no shortcut key or anything. You push enter, it doesn't work. It's just, you have to click OK. So in order to do that, we need to change line 32. So let's go into line, so there's 15. So let's scroll down. And this is where it's going to be doing the, oops, right here, 32, right? So it does what it needs to do, and you'll see when we do it. We'll double click into here, and we're going to bring that back up again. There we go. And we're going to highlight over it, and we're going to say Control Shift, and then I'm going to click it just so that I know it's going to create the same size, but I clicked it just to double check it. So again, this one says relative to screen. You could say screen, active window, whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. So I like screen better on these, and I know some of them say active window. Guys, if it messes up, you need to probably change it here. And the reason why is because if the active window is that particular, let's change this. So if this is the active window, which it may or may not be, I don't think it is. I think this is the active window, but just if it messes up, that's why, right? So change it to screen and do that. So anyway, we'll just go ahead and leave that there. I have it work either way. You just have to test it. So I'm going to say save, and it's of course interchangeable in here as well. So just if that messes up, that's where you need to look. And then that's it. We're done with that one, right? We've placed that particular one. Now, we're done with the one-time instructions, okay? We're done with those. The next one, and again, this is a big stop point, right? Stop point. We're done with one-time instructions. We are now doing prep instructions. So from here forward, we're going to be for this next section, we're going to be talking about instructions you need to repeat each time you open GIMP. The last instruction will be when you need to repeat every single pattern. But for these first parts, it's going to be every time you open GIMP, okay? Because GIMP resets to whatever it wants to. So there is a link to a sheet of instructions, right? I'll have the whole step-by-step instructions for prep instructions for you to save and work through. You can, use it as a checklist, whatever you want to do. The instructions before here were one time, and you should be fine not changing those again. And we'll double check when we test everything, but once everything's tested and working, you shouldn't have to change any of those other ones again. These prep instructions are for each time you run automation. And it says even though the majority of these instructions you only need to do one time at the beginning of each open of GIMP, you should test with each design. I do recommend you run the test anyway, especially until you get comfortable with it, right? Every single design is going to have one step you must change. All right, so let's talk prep step 1. Again, this one's in GIMP, okay? You should already have repeating files, and I've already mentioned this, but I'm going to repeat it anyway. We have a couple of videos in the series to help you make your own, or you can hire my designer, and the link is in the description. He's really good. I like what he does. Now let's open the file. And I've already done this once. So again, you just need to make sure you just need to open the files, right? So we'll go ahead and close this and pretend like I just brand new. In fact, let me go ahead and close it and reopen GIMP. Because that way you'll see the stuff that messes up, like it just defaults, right? So I don't know why I opened the other side. Okay, so we're going to open our file again. Huh. Yeah, that was saving to a weird. That was weird. Okay, it was pulling up files that didn't belong there. Anyway, so you could see why sometimes GIMP is just kind of weird. So we're going to open our file, right? So that's step 1, open the repeating file. Done. Boom. Now, step 2 is optional. And I talked about this a little bit earlier, but step 2 is if you need to resize it. And the reason why is, let me show you this. So let's go ahead and do a file size. So let's do leggings. So let's do youth leggings is 40 by 40. See, look at that already clicked, right? So we'll talk about that in a minute. But 40 by 40 is what we're doing. Actually, we're doing inches. So it's locked, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I just want to show you a 40 by 40. So now this is youth leggings, right? So if you're like, hey, you know what? Think about, my daughter's an 8-year-old. So if you think about somebody that's like up to your chest or maybe a little bit lower if you're tall, I'm 5'4"-ish and she goes up to my chest. So think about her legs and say, okay, well, that would probably be, not too bad for the size wise as far as this goes. Now a phone, on the other hand, is going to be like, I don't know, 3 inches by 5 inches. That's probably a little generous. So let's do Control F9 and do inches. Let's unlock that, but we'll look at it again in a minute. Do 3 by 5, just kind of give a sign. That probably wouldn't work, right? So if you want to say, hey, you know what? I want to make my file smaller. This is where you want to resize it, right here. So all you need to do is go to Image and then say Scale Image. Okay, now this is set in pixels. So I'm like, if you can think that way, that's fine. But if you want to look at inches, this is actually a 10 inch by 10 inch file. So I'm not sure why it says 9.999 or why this one says in pixels per inch, it says 150.012. No idea. But let's just say you're like, okay, well, I want to do half that size. So you do 5 inch by 5 inch. And if you wanted to tweak it, but this will change, it'll distort it, right? So you just want to keep that one locked for once. And then this one, we want to keep at least 150. So it's fine for the way it is. And you can say scale, right? So now if we were to change it, this is why this is an optional step, right? We're going to go inches and we're going to go 40 and say, okay. And now you can see it's a much smaller hearts, right? Theoretically, you could take a specific file and you could literally make like 3 or 4 different sizes of it and have 3 or 4 completely different, I mean, they're not completely different, they're the same pattern, but have 3 or 4 offerings, right? On fabric, this is very, very common. You'll see where they have small ones and big ones because some people like big, some people like small. Okay, now again, I don't know how well this would fit on the phone or if that's the right size, but that's something you have to decide. And then we talked about this in the uploading files to Printful, but just because you make a file doesn't mean you have to use it, right? So when you're uploading it, if it doesn't look right, you just skip it and move on to another one. Because we're trying to automate this as fast as possible to get as many designs. So let's go ahead and take that back to the regular size and let's go into the next step. So again, I said resize. If you haven't tested the repeat of your file, now's the time to do that. You can just test it real quick, figure out what size you want. And again, we have small designs for cell phone cases and other small items. And then we have really big designs for leggings and other large file requirements. So you can still create all the sizes and just not load the designs that look bad. And again, I showed that how to do in Printful. So there you go. Step 2, optional, and it's done, right? We're booking right through these. Step 3, we need to tile the pattern, right? We're going to test that shortcut key. You see me do it multiple times. You know, once it's set, it's set. If yours isn't set, you need to go back and set it and make sure it works. And if you're having problems with it, screenshot what your key, when we talked about doing that keyboard shortcut, screenshot what you see and post it in the Facebook group and we can help you figure it out. Okay. Now, again, I like to do this every time I prep in case GIMP doesn't update and wipes it. So I like to test it, the whole thing, the whole process. But we need to test it anyway because there's another step later that we need to do the export and set that. So we're going to press the Control F9, and we're going to, again, hold down the Control, hit the F9, then let both keys go. And that's function 9. So not the letter F, but function 9. You should be above the numbers. If you have like a laptop or something, you're going to have to figure out where that is on yours because it'll be a little bit different. If this doesn't print the tile function, if it doesn't bring up the tile function, I don't know why I said print, but your shortcut key is not set correctly, you need to go back to that step and do it. So let's do step 3. Let's do it, right? So Control F9. There it is. It brought it up, right? Okay, so next one, that was it. Step 3 is just testing it. I pretty much broke these out for you, right? So step 4, check the link and the sizes. Okay, so, and the reason why I say that is every time you close and then open GIMP, which you saw me do, you need to check that link for the tile feature, right? So we talked about this. It's in here. This link right here. That's going to be like that when you first open it. You need to unclick it, okay? And then change this to inches. And you want to test the size, right? You want to select inches from the measurement options, and then enter mismatched sizes, something like 56 by 42, something that's not exact. And then click OK. We're creating it's a test file, so just it doesn't matter what the actual size is, just as long as it's a mismatch. And that's because we want to make sure that we're testing this, even though that should work just fine. This is just what we're doing. So what did I say? 56 by 42, right? That's a huge file. We're going to say OK. And then we're going to go back to it, right? And it's created the file. And guess what? You're done with that step. So next step, step 5, in GIMP again, we need to select the export location, okay? You should have a folder location for all of your finished files. If you don't, you can create one. I think you can create one from GIMP as well. But ultimately, every time you prep, you should eventually have this so it's there and you just go to the same file. You need to create one if you need it, and then export the file and select the destination folder. For me, this always defaults to my documents folder, which I don't use for anything, right? Because it's on my C drive, and I use almost everything on my E drive. And there's a whole reason for that. But save the file as test. You can delete it later because it's a random size, right? So we're going to say file. And if you remember that export as is Shift Control E, which is in our automation, by the way, and this should already be set. This is a default one in there. So we're going to say export as, and then see, it's in documents. Why? I do not know. So we're going to change this, and we're going to go to, I can click over here. I'm going to go to the E drive, and the folder I have is called Finished Files from GIMP for Print on Demand. Okay. And so you can see those are my live test ones. I'll eventually go in and delete those. So I'm going to say, for now, I'm just going to go test. Oops, not live test. That's not what I want. I want test. And I just want to export, and it should be in PNG. That's why we're exporting as. And we're going to say export. And now, export again. It's going to export the file, and it will be set to that for the next time. Okay, so we're going to let that export, and we are done with that one, right? That's it. Step 5 is done. Now you can repeat the process if you want to make sure that the folder location is there. So this is the step 6, Power Automate Desktop. You need to do this with every single pattern, okay? Every single pattern. This is the only step you have to do for every pattern, okay? And the reason why, I can't believe this is still exporting. That's what I get for making such a huge file, right? All right, so we're going to close this one. And again, if you wanted to do it again, you would just say Control F9. You could just pick inches, pick your size. Let's go with something smaller. And then say OK. And then say File, Export As. And then you can do Test 2. And then, actually, you don't even have to do that. You don't have to name it. It's already set. The folder's there, right? So just say Cancel. You're set up there. So now we're going to change this in Power Automate Desktop. So let's go to Power Automate Desktop. And remember that variable that we set over here? This is what we're going to do. Now I've already done it in here. So we right click, say Edit, and you would come in here and change it. So I have it to rainbow hearts already, but whatever this is was before, you need to change it every single time you open a new pattern. Before you run the automation, you need to change this. If you don't, okay, if you don't, you're going to end up with either multiple files with the same name, and that's if you're putting them in different folders. Otherwise, you're going to overwrite what was already there or mess up the automation. I had it happen both ways, so I can't guarantee which way it'll go, but it's just not going to be fun, right? You don't want to waste your time doing this, so make sure you do that. Keep the pattern name short, like I talked about before, right? And do this step for every single pattern. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, I am working on something eventually. It's not on my top to-do list because guess what? If we're making 84 files, I think just opening one and doing this is fine. But eventually I'd like to get it so that it pulls the name and automates that automatically so you don't have to remember how to do that. But I don't want to do that yet because I don't know how, and I don't want to just delay everything until it's perfect. So for now, this is be good enough. That's all you have to do so if you decide to do 3 in a row, you've done all of your GIMP prep, say that 5 times fast. Now you need to do the one single thing, this one, okay? So let's go ahead and let's put this back full screen so you can see that better. So for this, let's go ahead and do the name change real quick. So we'll come back in here. I already set it, but you could just come in here, you can delete it and make it whatever you want, right? So let's do rainbow hearts. I'm going to put a capitalize there instead. Now that's not going to change. I don't have any that are like that. In fact, let me just go ahead and double check. And we can delete our test files if we want to. So I'm going to go into my E drive, go down to final files for GIMP, and I'm going to just go ahead and delete all of these just so I don't have any conflicting anything, which I shouldn't. But it's all now it's empty, which yours wouldn't be empty once you get going. So we've got that set. That's it. We're done with that step. Okay. Now we want to test. Now if you've done the testing already, you don't have to test again after you've set up the automation. The testing is you only do this after the first time of prepping everything, right? So you've prepped your one-time things, you've prepped your prep, which you have to do all the time, each time anyway. But before you run a full automation the first time, you need to make sure you test with only 2 or 3 file sizes in the Excel sheet. Again, they don't have to be real files. You can make them whatever sizes you want because they're going to be test ones. And as long as it makes it through 2 sizes, you know the Power Automate desktop is set correctly. You only need to test this once, then you can fix the Excel file to have all of the sizes. So to emphasize that again, you only need to test this once. So let's go back in, and since we're running a test, I'm going to pretend that this is a different pattern. I'm going to change this since we just deleted our tests. I'm going to edit this back to test live. See, another one was live test, right? So just in case. So I'm going to update that. So let's go ahead and get out of this again. And because again, we're trying to do this over here. I'm going to move this over to my other screen. But what I'm going to do is while this is open, I'm going to watch it. Well, see, I don't know if you want to do that because I don't know that you can watch it. But anyway, if you leave it open and it stops somewhere, it'll tell you where it stopped. So run it through once with it open like this, and then you can run it from the other screen once you're set. So we're going to go ahead and push. I'm going to save it first of all. And then I'm going to push play. Now remember, my Excel sheet only has 2 file sizes in it right now. So it's opening the Excel sheet, pulling the data, it's coming in, and it is doing the tile size. It's selecting the inch part. You saw it do that, and then it's going to do the width from the Excel sheet. It's going to put the height in there as well. And this might be different than the beginning of the video because I got tired of it. But anyway, so this is the complete repeated file there. And it's waiting 10 seconds. And we'll talk about changing the weight again. I know I mentioned that once before. I just want to say it again, is that mine is a lot longer because I'm recording at the same time as this. And 2, my computer is really slow and gets bogged down easily. So I have PowerPoint open. I have obviously GIMP open, Power Automate Desktop. I've got a recording open. I've got my notes open on Word. So I've got a lot of stuff open right now that you wouldn't have open. So this one's the longest wait right here is 40 seconds. And it was funny, I did a bigger file earlier and 40 seconds wasn't long enough. And I'm like, man, I hope it's long enough once I get it all, have everything else shut down, because that 40 seconds is a long time to wait. That really jumps that up to like 2 minutes per file, which is not the end of the world, again, if you're not going to be in front of the computer. Just gives you a couple of hours to go do something, right? Or you can run this at night when you go to sleep, as long as your computer can handle it and isn't doing something else, like, I don't know, scanning your computer. So here's the second one, and it's already promising because we've made it all the way through the first one. It's cycled into the second one, but let's just make sure it goes all the way through both of them, just in case. And you can see it's doing the width and the height. It's already done the inches. And you can see how the importance of that, having that link unclicked so that it's broken link, so that it's doesn't maintain that ratio is critical, right, for creating these files. And now it's exporting. It already named it. Exporting again. And I think at this point you can really see the value of automating these files. And when you see the whole picture, which we're going to do, the whole picture, you're going to I think you're going to really love this whole entire, business model. It's really, really good. I mean, you get to do a lot without having to hire people to do things. You're putting your computer to work for you. And instead of having somebody spend hours in front of the computer creating the files, you can have your computer create the files for you, which is the whole idea of this. It's amazing. I love it. All right. So it's still in the wait mode, in the 40-second wait mode. And it should be done here, hopefully quick. But we've gone through, there it is, and it's discarding changes, and then it's waiting the 5 seconds, and it's closing out. This, again, will go through, once we do the entire file, it's going to go through, and it'll do it all. So that's done now. So everything on it is saved. So now I'm going to come back in, and I'm going to, because I'm going to do this the next time, I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to change the name back to Rainbow Hearts. I'm going to update that. I'm going to save it. So that way I have it for next time. So that's the one I want. You have to change every single pattern, okay? That's a critical element. You need to change every single pattern. All right, so now let's talk about, so yeah, that was it, right? So we tested, it worked, you're good to go. So now, actually, what you can do before I move on, you need to go ahead and put all of the sizes into the Excel sheet, right? Our automation's set, everything's working. We go back to our Excel file. We go ahead and import all of the file sizes in there. Just copy and paste it in from my file, or download the file and whatever. You should actually just copy and paste whatever's in there now. So last couple of things here. Wait times. Now this is an optional final adjustment. There are wait periods throughout the automation. Again, my computer runs slow, so some elements take longer to load, and I've added extended wait periods there. If your computer is faster, you can test timing by adjusting this. With 84 files, if you adjust one wait period by 5 seconds, you will decrease or increase the time by 420 seconds or 7 minutes. Okay, now that's just in one wait period, right? We have multiple wait periods in here. A lot of them are shorter. There's just like 2 that are longer. And the problem is you really need to go through an entire 84 and like go through and say, okay, where is it? Make sure it's not bogging down, because some files are bigger. And if the only requirement would be if your automation is getting stuck somewhere, you probably need to extend some of the wait times, right? So watch the automation all the way through one time, and you can see if it's getting stuck, where it's getting stuck, etc. I made this mistake on the Photoshop one. I made this mistake and didn't do that, and ended up being a huge nightmare, having to start over and figure out where it was, and I had to extend my wait times. That's what it was. And I had like 37 files open and a bunch of stuff. It was weird. So let me go ahead and actually show you the wait periods in here so you can see where they are. And again, they'll be on the page on the Little Biz Resources page, the link that's in the description. You'll see I'll have all the wait, line 49, line 45. See, like line 45 is a 1 second, just leave that, because the 1 seconds there are so that your computer doesn't like catch it, so it'll not overlap on things. So here's the wait. 2 seconds is fine. 5 seconds, you could probably shorten it by 1 or 2 if your computer's fast enough. Again, you need to go through and see. And then this one's a wait 3 seconds, which is probably fine. 1 second, if there's a 1 second wait, just leave them there. Or just leave them there. And that's because it's just so that it doesn't go too fast for your computer. That's why I threw those in there. Now, this is a 10-second one. You might be able to shorten that one. And then, of course, this one's that 40-second one I told you about, that I had it originally at 25 seconds, but the bigger files ended up taking longer. And I don't even think 40 seconds was long enough. So I need to run through it and see. Now the other option would be I could pull those out into a separate Excel file and have a whole different, I can, copy this entire thing, put it in a second one, call them different ones if I wanted to. We'll talk about that later if that's a problem for you, but I don't mind turning it on and waiting, 2 or 3 minutes per file, because I tend to have things that take 2 or 3 hours, right? So I don't have a problem. We're setting it for the night and then going to bed. I don't have any problem doing that. So I don't mind having the longer wait period, especially if I'm not going to be there babysitting it. So that's a wait. And then here's a 1 second wait, leave it. And then the 5 second wait could probably be shorter. You could probably shorten that by a couple seconds. It just depends on your computer. So those are optional. You do not have to. You can just leave them the way they are. The text document does not have 40 seconds. It only has 25 seconds in it. So if your computer is slower, mine's really old too, right? So it's old and it's got a lot of stuff going on, that you may need to extend that from 25 seconds. So just the little points there. And again, those will all be on the page. All right. So let's recap the order, right? One-time steps are 1 through 9. You do these once and you're good to go. So you have one-time steps 1 through 9. Then you have prep steps of 1 through 5 that you must do every time you open GIMP to run automation. Then you have prep step 6. So 1 through 5 is you do once when you run GIMP, every time you run GIMP. And prep 6 you must do every time you have a new pattern. So if you decide to do 3 patterns in a row, the first one, you need to do all steps 1 through 6. And then the second and the third one, you at least need to do step 6. Okay. And if your computer does something weird, you may need to do steps 1 through 5 again. But for the most part, you should just have to do step 6 if you do 3 in a row. Now with 84 files, you probably will do like 1 a day or something, maybe 2 a day max, because it takes so much time, but that's kind of up to you and how much time you have. Now make sure you test your automation before loading up the Excel file with all of those file sizes, okay? Next steps, and oh my gosh, I can't believe we're finally done. This has taken so much time to get to this point. It's like I need to throw a party, right? You need to set up your automation. I'm not kidding. You need to set it up. It's not hard. I know this is a longer video. Spend a couple of hours, get this set up. It is 100% worth it. Use the chapter, the timestamp links in the description on YouTube. Pause and work through the video again. Okay, pause where you need to. Go back if you need to set something. All of these steps were really simple. I gave you detailed instructions on them. You can do them a lot faster. Then, once you have it set up, get through a full set of the Printful files, or if you have marketplace files, which again, depending on when you're watching this, we may not have those ready yet, but you can start doing whatever you want. If you have some sort of repeating files that you want to do, you can do that and then start getting them loaded, right? The video to upload the videos to Printful? No, the video to upload the files to Printful already exists. If that's your path, do that after you create the files. If you happen to cross this video outside of our playlist, check out all the videos in the playlist on the Little Biz Resources YouTube. The link is in the description. Then I highly encourage you to ask questions, share any challenges you have, etc. You can hop into the Little Biz Resources Facebook group, link in the description. You can ask on this video, or you can come live on Thursdays here on this YouTube channel and ask live as well. And we'll, try to do what we can live. So I appreciate you taking the time to go through all of this. If you're using GIMP and this works for you, I would love, love, love to hear your feedback and see if it was easy or not, because I feel like it should have been easy, but I don't know. So please share your feedback. I know if you're an expert, please just be nice. I'm not an expert at any of this. I'm doing this. It's free. I'm trying to do this out of the kindness of my heart, and I hope it'll help you get your business going. I would love to hear if you did have some success or if you ran into challenges, where that's at, so I can help fix this. So I thank you again for your time. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and help it spread to other people. I thank you again.